something that packs small and can be thrown into a tote bag. Especially if you have long hair, it is a struggle. But let me tell you, it is better than fainting in a public place. So the watch will detect if there is a fall, you know you're gonna faint. I know, it sounds strange, but hear me out. Hola amigos, Daniela here from Through the Looking Glass. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, it's lovely to see you. Consider subscribing. In this channel, I talk about lots of different chronic illnesses and my journey living life with those chronic illnesses. Today, I want to talk about POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, and that is one of my chronic conditions. POTS is a condition that affects your heart and your vascular system. It pretty much makes your heart rate go very high and makes you feel dizzy, and some people even faint from it. It has many other symptoms associated with POTS, and I have made an entire video dedicated to that. POTS, your ultimate guide, and I'll leave a link up here if you're interested in knowing more about POTS in specific. But this video is going to be a little bit different than the tips that I gave you on this other one. I'm going to share unusual, not so often heard tips to deal with POTS. The first tip I have for you is to actually have a little collapsible stool or like a picnic blanket or a towel, something that packs small and can be thrown into a tote bag. You will carry this with you everywhere we go, either you're going grocery shopping, to the mall, traveling, picnic, whatever you're doing out there, even just going to visit a friend, just make sure that you have that in your bag, because you never know when that wave of dizziness is going to hit you and you need to sit down or lie down immediately. I have found myself several times in the middle of the grocery stores and then telling my husband, I need to sit down. I need to sit down right now. And there's like nothing around me. Like I am lining up at Walmart and I don't even have time to go look for a chair. I need to sit down immediately. And if I have one of those pop-up collapsible chairs or a blanket or a towel, I can easily take those out of my bag. And even if I have to immediately sit on the floor and I don't have time to get those, then once I'm on the floor, my husband can get them and then I can sit on those and not be on the ground. And sometimes it can be so severe that sitting down doesn't even cut it. I actually have to lie down. And I know it may look absolutely horrible to have to lie down in the middle of a public place, but let me tell you, it is better than fainting in a public place. Fainting in a public place draws so much attention and it often results in people calling paramedics, which is often not necessary. So I highly recommend that you have one of those with you at all times. My second tip is to check your glucose levels. Hyperglycemia and hypoglycemia have both been associated with worsening symptoms of POTS. Basically, if you can get yourself a glucose monitor and monitor your glucose levels for a week or two and learn what happens with your body when you eat certain foods and then try to avoid those peaks and those lows, it can really help improve POTS symptoms. Monitoring your glucose levels for a week or two help you learn about how your body responds to different foods and helps you make better decisions that support your body. So generally avoiding meals that are very high in carbohydrates or very high in sugar, it's going to create that hyperglycemia peak, and then after comes the crash with the hypoglycemia. And that big difference in glucose levels can really make your symptoms worse. So having a diet that promotes stable blood sugars can be really beneficial to managing POTS. Number 3 is to look for allergies. Ask your doctor to do allergy test and see if there is any foods or any things in specific that you're allergic to, because allergies can really exacerbate POTS symptoms. So by treating underlying allergies, it can be really helpful to manage POTS symptoms. A lot of people that have POTS is also diagnosed with another condition called MCAS, mast cell activation syndrome, which is a disease of the immune system, and it causes lots of allergies. And it seems that if you can get MCAS under control, it significantly improves POTS symptoms. It may be worthwhile being investigated for allergies so that you can eliminate any sources of triggers. Number 4 is in relation to showers. If you have POTS, you know what a struggle it is to have a shower, especially if you have long hair. It is a struggle. The biggest issue with showers is 1, you're standing, and 2, you're exposed to heat. So blood pools in the lower extremity and makes all the POTS symptoms worse. So the option to having a shower is to having a bath, but the bath can really lower your blood pressure. So while it may be okay while you're in the bath, once you get out of the bath, your symptoms are going to be way worse. So my advice is to shower in the bathtub. So if your house has one of those combos where the shower is over your bathtub, then all you need to do is really just sit down on your bathtub. And if you have one of those handheld shower heads, bonus points for you, because you can just use that hose and shower yourself with that. But if you don't and you only have one of those separate bathtubs, I recommend that you invest in one of those handheld shower heads that you can install in your bathtub. If you don't have a bathtub, then getting a shower stool. Make sure that you have one of those plastic stools that have like locking wheels where you can just roll it into your shower and then you can be sitting down while showering. Tip number 5 is also about shower, but it's in relation to your hair. The issue with washing hair is that not only it takes longer in the shower because you're also washing your hair, but also you have to deal with brushing your hair after, and if you live in a cold country, also drying your hair. So for me, washing my hair is an event all on its own, and I often end up washing my hair over the bathtub. I will later have a separate shower, and usually just before I go to bed, because if I feel pretty dizzy and tired after having a shower, I know I can just go to sleep. Tip number 6 is to get a medical bracelet. On my medical bracelet, I have the word POTS, but because a lot of people don't know what POTS means, I also have it written underneath, risk of fainting. And then I have my emergency contact number there as well. If you do pass out while out and by yourself, at least people will be able to see that you have a condition that you're prone to fainting, and they'll have a contact number to call. I know a lot of people think that those emergency bracelets are ugly, but times have changed. There are so many bracelets that look like jewelry that you could definitely wear with a fancy outfit. Tip number 7 is using countermeasures. A very easy countermeasure to do is to simply cross your legs, because that minimizes the amount of blood that gets to your lower extremities. You can alternate the leg crossing with calf raises, and clenching is something else that you can do while crossing your legs. You can clench your fists, and that helps minimize the amount of blood that stays in your hands, in the extremities. But you can also clench your gluteus, your bum muscles, and that also helps squeeze everything and pump that blood back up. Walking can also be very helpful to get that blood pumping again. So if you have to wait somewhere that you don't necessarily have to hold a spot, walking in circles or doing like a small walk, it can really help that blood circulate and not pull in your lower extremities. Number 8 is having an emergency fainting word. I know, it sounds strange, but hear me out. A lot of people who have POTS can tell when they're about to faint. Some people get some warning signs that last a little bit before they actually faint, and then other people, it can escalate really quickly. So having a code word that when you say that word to the person that you're with, you know you're gonna faint. What that person can do is to put their arms under your armpits and gently lower you to the ground so that you don't fall and hit your head. Once you're lying down, it is recommended that the person raises your legs so that that pooled blood can get back to your heart and to your brain. Tip number 9 is to have a smartwatch. Not only smartwatch can keep track of your heart rate, and that is good to see trends, but also specifically the Apple Watch. I am not sure about Android, but I know the later versions of the Apple Watch does have a fall detection in the Apple Watch. So the watch will detect if there is a fall, and it will start vibrating on your wrist, and it will ask you if it wants to call emergency. If you don't respond or it doesn't detect movement for a minute, it will call emergency services with your location. And finally, tip number 10 is regarding cooking. I absolutely love cooking. Cooking requires a lot of standing and moving around because you may be chopping vegetables on the countertop, and then you need to grab something on the fridge, and then you need to bring it to the stove. So there's a lot of moving and standing. What I did is I bought a bar rolling stool, the ones that you can adjust height. So I'll just use the chair when I'm prepping, and then I can just roll myself to the stove or roll myself to the fridge, so I can move around the kitchen without having to get off my stool. I used to have just a fixed stool that I used to use when I was chopping vegetables, but then if I needed to grab something from the fridge or go to the stove, I would have to come off my stool, walk, and then my heart would go up again, and it was very, very exhausting. So by pushing myself around and not having to stand, it really helps maintain a stable heart rate, and it makes it for a much more enjoyable experience. If you found those tips and video helpful in any way, please hit that like button and consider subscribing. Also, if you have any tips that I have not mentioned here that has made a big difference for you, please leave them in the comments below so other people can benefit from them as well. That's it for now, guys. Ciao, and I'll see you in the next one.